We are here at the second day of the ABSL Western Balkans Conference 2025. Here with us is Alina Secuianu, the Director of Operations for TELUS Digital. Alina, welcome.
Thank you.
As a Director of Operations, you lead teams through fast-paced changes. How do you keep people motivated and aligned when technology and client expectations evolve so rapidly in your industry?
I think you're asking a very interesting question, and I think our means to deploy the right level of information, knowledge, and acknowledgement of client needs in a landscape that bears a lot of complexity, a lot of velocity in the decision-making process is quite complex. So you're right about having a challenge and making sure that within the organization, every single layer of our teams is well acquainted with our strategies or our vision for the following years, and that at TELUS Digital, we ensure that every single individual and contributor of the team within the organization is generating value and is seeing meaningfulness in the work they deliver. So competing priorities such as breaking the older patterns of traditional call center work and then evolving into a technology-driven mindset implies a specific elasticity, I think, nowadays in the mindset that we're trying to nurture. And that happens with the fact that we are ensuring that there is fair process, fair amount of information being distributed across the board, and a lot of care for the leadership development of our frontline and medium and then senior leaders as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. TELUS Digital operates with diverse and multicultural teams across this globe. And what's your approach to managing all of this diversity while also maintaining a unified culture and high performance in your company?
I think the fact that TELUS Digital actually relies on a global footprint to source the talent, the funnel, to manage, train, get to a level of mastery depending on the line of work we're operating in is actually a great and very lucky intersection to be in. I think the fact that we are in a position to adapt, understand, co-opt and cooperate cohesively with other countries, ensure cross-site, cross-continent even collaboration is extremely important. It influences our work. We have to be flexible. We have to actively listen to the wants and needs of every single one of our team members, be it that they're part of an Asia Pacific team, an European team, or Latin America team. So I think in TELUS Digital, we have very customary traditions to ensure that the onboarding experience feels global, that the attention for the needs of our team members is definitely very present. So to drive change in such a different landscape happens through a lot of virtual and then cohesive communication.
Excellent. So it sounds like it's okay. It sounds like you really pay attention to all of your employees and all of the different cultures that are included in your various teams. And how do you see automation and AI transforming digital operations in the coming years? And what balance do you think that companies should strike between human expertise and digital tools?
I was mentioning before that I believe a lucky intersection that we are at, because the TELUS Digital footprint today allows us to be in a position where we are able to make use of some of our, I think, cost friendliness approaches and locations to take the big transactional volumes and to keep the complex work where we see, a higher competency matrix. So I think the balance between delivering the wants and needs of our clients related to operational frameworks, proper performance, getting on board the team members or human capital that they want is very, very closely interweaved with the fact that we have to make use of technology as well. How that happens, we are working to deploy, develop, and circulate curricula for AI literacy, courses, micro-credentials that we can implement in our teams to make sure that we not only follow the wave, but we ride it with the trend.
Excellent. So really combining the human factor with all of the digital opportunities that we have. Excellent. And could you share a project where operational innovation made a really clear difference, either improving efficiency, client satisfaction, or even team engagement?
Yes, I think we have in operations in our line of work several big, successes, resounding successes that have come from the fact that we are creative, exploratory in our approaches, and we like to challenge traditional, I think, means of doing things. So one project that I used to work in and that has proven to provide extremely unexpected positive results and actually came from challenging, the customary, the old tradition of doing things, had to do with us evolving or refining, redefining, I think, the quality model and the regulatory model of the account. We have made a value proposition to the client, which was immediately accepted. We had piloted on a micro-controlled group, and with those results in our hand, we actually have been able to change the entire regulatory system internally for the client. So to have a partner that delivers that, we think that there is value add in working with us.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. And many leaders nowadays talk about employee well-being, but few of them actually manage to integrate it into daily operations. How do you approach that at TELUS Digital?
We manage it through fairness of the processes that they go through, transparency, fair process, and also fair compensation. As soon as you're considering, changing the job or making sure that you have a couple of, I would say, core criteria being met, you're probably going to think, where is my work balance going to stand at? So our workforce management principles tie in very closely together with the work-life balance of our team members. Our compensation grids are aligned with the market differences and baselines that we usually provide country by country, depending on the models we offer. And then the engagement programs we have, the opportunity for upskilling and continuous learning are very important verticals that in TELUS Digital we like to ensure are very present and front and center for the development of our team.
Incredible. Sounds like a very nice work environment. Looking ahead, what skills do you think will be most essential for the next generation of professionals that are entering this field?
I think taking the next step in the mastery and proficiency of our team members into an area that is more technical, digitally oriented, and just curious to drive that AI literacy that I was mentioning to you about will generate the next funnel of team members that will be essential because there will always be a mandatory human in the loop element that will have to happen. So there will be industries who, independent of the automation and efficiencies that are being driven from a technical perspective, will require human intervention. At the end, or at the finite end of any complex process, usually there's a person standing. So we want to polish that profile and make sure the person standing at the end is I think, a legacy, a product of the TELUS Digital, investment. So the next generation of, we think, competent and proficient team members in TELUS Digital will be fast decision makers, knowledgeable regulatory professionals, builders, why not, of workflows and new systems from a technical perspective, but also regulators of the process. Because if technology indeed will take over to a point where we will be almost completely reliant on it, there still needs to be an element of regulation, and people will be in a position to do that.
That's great advice. I hope somebody out there will listen to it and hopefully work for you someday. And to finish off on a more personal note, we'd like to ask you what drives your passion for building effective teams and leading transformation at scale.
I have an inner, I think, drive that has been, I think, following me in the past couple of years. I've been part of the TELUS Digital organization for close to 12 years, and I started as a frontline agent, and I have been driven tremendously by the aim of leaving a very I think, prepared and healthy legacy behind. So the teams I support today, my team members who promote in senior leadership positions, the teams who get upskilled and then have vertical or horizontal, I think, growth opportunities, I would like to make sure that there's a small portion of my thought leadership that resides in their development. So I'm passionate about driving progress, I think, in the professional journey of the peers and reports that I work with, and continue to drive a business that is done by the people, for the people, independent of the tools and techniques that we use.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this talk.
Thank you.